You are the thing that defends against AI. Your personality, the things about you, not your intelligence. You might get steamrolled by intelligence, but the combination of all the different things that make you unique, that is it. And I want to just go through this trend that's going on, the vibe marketing trend, talk about the data behind it, and talk about how you can get started by doing it. You're probably a developer if you're watching this channel, but guess what? You don't have to be on camera talking like this. You can make content other ways. You can market in other ways. At the end of the day, a lot of developers, they will code themselves into a pigeonhole and then come out with the thing and be wondering why they don't have sales. And I've done that. And now I'm on the other side of it where I'm getting pre-sales for something that's not yet ready. So you want to flip it. You want to do a different way of approaching it. So let's talk. First of all, we all know ChatGPT flew, but it's fun to see how fast it flew because it's bananas. 5 days versus 75 days. And they're saying it's going to chip away at search engine volume. You can see here, this is an interest graph, and that's kind of crazy. But yeah, they're predicting that the search volume will drop by 25%. We already see that ChatGPT is really good at search. People are wondering if Perplexity is a feature, not a company. Everything is adding back into search. And I want to talk about how that also impacts you and your business and what you're doing. You can see that Google is slowly getting less interesting to people. A lot of people are just going straight to ChatGPT because it flips the whole model of 10 blue links on its head. What I will say is it has to do with demographic. But at the end of the day, the way that you're going to rank and show up for people when they're searching is on a couple things. There's domain authority, there's domain rank. But Google currently has about 200 or so, is what the founder says, or CEO says, different ways that they grade you on search. So you have search engine result pages, SERP, and there's over 200 ways that they grade. Primary one being the domain authority that you have. That's through 100 and the domain rank that you get. So that way, when someone were to search, let's say you're selling pumpkins and they type in pumpkin, the higher these numbers are, because they have bigger weights than the other ones, the higher you'd show up on these 8 to 10 results, right? And then of course, you'd see a few ads plugged in here. Well, then the question becomes, okay, well, how does it affect me with Chat GPT or the next AI like Grok or whatever? Well, it's still the same thing, right? Like the way that they got these scores was by putting out valuable information that answers the person's query. There's different types of queries too. So if they have search intent around a specific brand or the name of something, like they type in Kleenex, that's not going to be tissue paper. But at the end of the day, I think this is what a lot of people are missing is they go and they're like, oh, I need to make content. I'm going to sell automations on make.com or N8N to a bunch of people. And guess what? We're going to make so much content. But if it's not valuable, which is determined by the bounce, so that would be another one. They had the bounce rate. So is the person clicking on this thing and then going to the page and then coming back and clicking another? And how many times do they do that? When you leave the page really quick, and it's time on page is another one. They track it with a session. If they're bouncing back and forth, that person's going to think that Google sucks, right? So at the end of the day, make the thing that you're putting out into the world interesting. Cut the fluff, get to the value fast, try to deliver it quickly. You can do that with transactional stuff, so how-tos, tutorials, whatever. But the point of this video is to show you the trend, talk a little bit about how it's just the same primitive. You have a way to grade it. Did it answer a question? Did the person find it? Did they have to come back? Same thing will go for chat. But the interesting part about chat is if I typed in, let's say, what's the best paper towel company? I'm actually interested to see this. So let's put this in, and then we'll do a split with Google. Google, what's the best paper towel? So now I get this panel, which you have to fight to get, and you do it in a lot of ways. But in order for me to show up, it looks like Jilly really did a good job at her blog because she's the first, maybe second. Yeah, so Reviewed got this one because they have a really high domain authority. If we went into their page, and we clicked into similar web. See, they almost have 1 million people hitting their site a month, right? And there's other stuff you can do. There's a plugin called Detailed that will pull all the different kind of stuff for that. So there's different things on your website that you'll need if you're doing written content and if you're doing videos. But that's another little plug, is if you click on the Detailed SEO extension, then it'll show you, oh, your title's a little too long. Do they have descriptions? Do they have the URL, canonical, all these things? But what we notice, the difference between showing up on Google and showing up here is this just gave me answers and gave me links. This looks like tougher. Like this looks, I have these things people also ask, like it's kind of in my way. But if I'm just typing in what's the best paper towel company, I'm probably just going to click the top one right here and then go and buy it. And it is interesting because this is going to take me to a high-ranking blog. Yeah, so this one has 5 million a month, and I can't even buy it. So you can see that they're still ironing out their search indexing. But the point is, it's going to be the same thing at the end of the day where you need attention. And you won't get attention if you're not thinking through each step of your vibe marketing automation. So I'll go through an example of something that I see on YouTube a lot, and then I'll compare it with the strategy that I'm running. So let's say we'll have like the normal n8n/make.com flow. And it's when any new tech shift happens, everyone gets like super pumped and they're like, oh my gosh, I can like do all this stuff. And they focus on the tech. They don't focus on the quality of it. They get like enamored. It's this new thing. And so then they're like, wow, like I can just listen to this bundle of websites. So I'm going to go and find all my favorite websites that everyone's going to want to read stuff from because I don't want to read them. And I'm going to put them in this bundle. And that bundle is called an RSS, which basically just takes all of them. And if they're really fancy, I built these before. I never launched them because they're garbage. If they're really fancy, they'll add in a little step before the RSS or after the RSS, but they're all going into one. And then you can say, okay, cool. We're going to do this on a 15-minute timer, and it's going to be blue, apparently. I'm going to turn that off. We're going to have this run every 15 minutes. And then after that, it's going to send them to our ChatGPT. So you got a little AI thing here. And then this AI, their whole job is basically a picker. So they might have gotten like 100 every 15 minutes, and then they return 15. And then they send it to the next thing. It's like, okay, cool. We're going to go scrape it. So we got a scraper. And now we have 15 every 15 minutes. So let's do 15 times 4 is an hour times 24 is 1440 a day times 365. So you're at 525,000 pieces of content. And the AI bro inside you would be like, oh my gosh, content. Would you read any of these? I don't know. How good is your prompt? But then you'd go scrape it. Then you'd have a step where it's like the summary or the summarizer, another AI, and then another one, the title guy. You kind of just see like all these little steps. And then if they're really fancy, you'll have like a SEO optimizer and then maybe images. And I think there's nothing inherently wrong with Make. It's just, I think what's happening, I see it a lot, is people get excited that they can do this. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and sell this everywhere. And then now over 2 years, we're going to have 1.2 million blog articles. And then we're going to break that into, for each one of those, we're going to have 4 LinkedIn posts. So we're going to have 4.8. I said 4. 5. We're going to do 4. 4.8 million LinkedIn posts. And this just leads to really low quality stuff. So I think that's what I see a lot of, because it's not about the tech, it's about the value that you're delivering. So what you should do instead is roll these parts yourself, meaning like just would it pass your sniff test of this is AI or not, where if you just put this whole flow together in a day and you start running it, your website is going to get filled with garbage. Your bounce rate is going to go past 100% and no one's going to read it. And then you get penalized because it's not delivering any of the value. So instead, on each one of these steps, instead of it being like a one day, one shot, I did it, I would literally write the articles myself with the help of AI and then provide a ton of examples into each one. So that way, when you get the output, instead of just running it, it's like, cool, each step along the path, you get a little artifact. And then you go and you read it. And you don't have to go to the next thing. And you spend the time, maybe you spend a whole day, and then comp it against your favorite article that you read. So these systems can work, but you just have to take like 10 times as much time dialing in the outputs. Like that's the game, basically. Like the sauce is not in the blueprint that you get from somebody. The sauce is actually in each step of the process. And then looking at it and reading it yourself. If you can't sit down and read it, it means it sucks. So in my world, I don't use those products. I use, it's called GCP, Google Cloud Platform. But what I'm doing is, okay, I have the long form stuff. I'm doing it manually. I have 7 of these a week. And then I have a main channel where I do 3 a week. And what I was doing at first was something like this, where I was like, okay, for each video, when that goes live, I'm going to be building this database over here. And this is going to fill up with Parker content, regardless of whether or not I do anything with it. But I'm giving it me. That's what this camera does, is it captures me in digital form. And each time that I do that, I'm filling up this bank of content that I can then use to train for future content. So the voice, it's authentic. That's why I did video first, is because it is the longest format. It is the most human, and it scales so that, yes, I can do the classic content pyramid thing where you have the thing at the top, which is the long form, and then you split it into the shorts, and then you split it into text, and you go all the way down, and then you end up where it's like, oh, one piece of this is like 500 of these. That'll happen, but it's in phases, because at first, because I'm doing the production, the editing, and being the creator, you take a lot of work to do these ones manually first to develop your own style, where it's like, oh, how do I like thumbnails? The same thing could be said in written format if you did that, but I don't recommend it. You'd figure out your writing style. You'd figure out your editing style. Do you like music? Do you not like music? Do you have voiceovers? All those things. What does your coloring look like? So you're still developing that taste. And once you've done this manually, in my case, I've done this daily one for 6 weeks. So that's 42 videos. Built an audience of almost 700 people. And then the main one, 3 videos, I'm about 2 weeks into that, but we're struggling to keep up with all the stuff. So that's when I say, okay, I'm starting to break. I have enough stuff in this database of source material that I can then go and start to build automation around it. So I didn't start with any of this stuff. It's actually like, go do it manually first. And then you actually know what the steps are. And then you can go in and start linking them together. Like I could go and do it in Make. For me, in my case, because everything's shot in 4K, because I want full customization, that's why I go and I pick up a tool like GCP, because I don't want to glue together a bunch of different APIs. And I will be using APIs, of course, but I want to be able to have something that will be an orchestration software that can grow with me. And why not just use the best thing? So because I have that, as I go from this leap then to shorts, so we'll just call it shorts, and we'll be on 3 vertical platforms, TikTok, Insta, YouTube. Then when I go to here, I already will know that in order to make this leap, I'm going to have to do this part manually again. So I won't be going and picking up something like Opus Clip or Descript, not because they're not good products, but because the level that I want, the customization that I want, I won't be able to get that. And so in order to do it, I actually need to manually make them and then start filling up a new database, which will be for the shorts. So as this starts to fill up, then I'll have the ability to go and automate these. And that's all possible with open source libraries like FFmpeg and all those things. But when I look at this, I know now that in order to make this leap to doing this, that's when I layer in the automation. And so it comes in phases, and that's how I'm going to keep the quality high. And each time that I make a leap from the long form to the shorts to written, which would be next, written format, only then do I say, okay, it's time to automate. And then I'll do the same thing here, because all this stuff, I'll save the time around the downloading the videos, the post audio processing, the thumbnail creation, because I've done it manually so many times, I can look and say, okay, well, I know how to do thumbnails. I know that if I just build an automation where I have a couple of steps, like I like this look of background, so I know what the prompt would be. I know that the second step for thumbnails is going to be layering on text, and I know that the text will have to be not the title of the video, but something different that even makes it more engaging. So caption text will need to be in there, and that doesn't need AI. This will be using a thing called Pillow, where you define all the assets on the screen. So you have the background, you have maybe like my face here. So that's the second asset. Then you have a place for the text, which would be the third. So you have these assets and you basically just define them, and they're all variables. So I can pass them into here, and each one of those will be custom tailored to me. Point being is like people have a good nose on them and they can tell if it's AI generated. It's almost like a bar trick, and it's not going to be that way for a long time. People are going to look at it, immediately see it. They can sniff when it's an ad. They're going to sniff when it's AI. So do it manually. Then you'll build up the base and you'll be a lot better off, so that in a few years from now, as these things start to take off, just to bring it all home, you're going to have defensibility because you chose in 2025 to basically start adopting all these practices of both documenting whatever it is you're doing that you find interesting. Basically, a good litmus test for this is like, what do you talk about when it's not work? And that's probably the thing that you should be talking about. You're probably a developer or a vibe marketer, but I think this is the move. I think you start with a video and then you work your way up. So then when we do get to this era where there's, I think of it less so in market size, but actually like population. So if we have like 8 billion humans and we're the blue and we're like up here, I'm wondering in, let's say, 2025 and 2030, I think the agent traffic is just going to go like that. I really do. And that's going to be inclusive of the influencers who didn't have a hard skill besides being an influencer, and they're getting rented by companies. They're going internal now because that model's changed. I think it's going to flip that. I think it's going to flip a lot of things. So it's like, take the thing that you enjoy doing and then figure out how to make the content around it and start building something like this. And then for all the Make and N8N guys and girls out there, it's like, there's nothing wrong with it, but just please be aware that if you're selling these to companies and it's just producing dribble and you're like you wouldn't read it, then it's actually hurting their brand. And then if it's you, like you just wouldn't want it out there because all of these ratings are going to go down and down and down. And then you won't show up in this and you'll be mad. So that's it for today. I hope you guys learned something. If you guys have any questions about these marketing tactics that I'm taking, if you're interested in learning more about GCP, comment the word GCP below. And then if you want behind the scenes of me building this out in my community, you can join I Vibe with AI. It's on school right now. You can see the link below. It should be pinned. And make sure you like the video, of course. Did you like it yet? And then subscribe, because that's the best thing you could do at this second. All right, I'll see you in the next one.